Hi, it is May 24th, 2022, and so there was this mass shooting today, and at this school, horrible. Someone murdered all these children, and so there's various. I believe that all human action occurs for a reason. Um, And so, obviously, I don't know the reasoning. I don't know the backstory or anything. I haven't really looked at any of that. I don't know how much has even come out yet about that. So I'm not going to, say definitively this is what I think it was. But some possibilities are, one is that this person thought they were doing some kind of greater good. Sometimes people say to themselves, well, I can sacrifice this for the sake of this. I can do this greater good. So maybe this person, who knows, maybe they thought this would inspire gun control legislation. Maybe someone put them up to it. Maybe they said, if you don't do this, we're going to do this, which is going to be even worse. So that's one possibility, is that was the motive. Another possibility is that it was hatred, that it was just someone who decided they hate society, they want to hurt people as bad as they can because they've been hurt, and some people react that way, I guess. So maybe it was an act of vengeance against society fueled by hatred. I really don't know. Of course, it is tremendously tragic, and it's also inspiring some conversations, which I think is good because discourse is what we need to have, and maybe from God's perspective, talk about the greater good. Maybe those kids are dancing in heaven right now with the angels, and maybe this was to teach us a lesson that we need to communicate with each other before further violence occurs. Because when people don't communicate and they don't listen to each other, they don't hold space for each other, and they hate each other and they dehumanize each other and they resent each other, eventually violence is inevitable. And so I would like to see peace. That is my highest objective. And so I encourage discourse, and I've been engaging in a little bit on Twitter this evening, and hopefully building some kind of bridge, even though doing so can be frustrating, and it can be painful, difficult. Even though it's all those things, I still think it's constructive. I still think it's better than disconnection. And, I believed I met my twin flame 4 years ago. And I wrote a lot about her on my blog, and I also wrote a couple poems about her that are in my book. And I kind of think of everything in terms of her with everything that's going on. And one thing I recall is that she was a gun owner. And that's interesting, right? Because she clearly took the pro, quote, science side of the whole COVID thing, and very pro-choice, so really very against me on all these issues. But this is one issue where we probably agree, with the idea that people should be able to possess firearms, and that ultimately has a lot of benefits for society. It prevents tyrants from being too tyrannical because, you look at Sri Lanka. I mean, this unrest going on. I mean, imagine if these people were all coming after these guys with guns. I mean, they probably never would have gotten to the point where it got this bad because they would have had to have listened to the people sooner. They would have had to have advanced. Although I don't know, man. I mean, you gotta know where to. It's not just wanting to fix things; it's actually knowing how to fix things. I think that's a big part of the problem, and I think everything's divinely ordained. I mean, I think it's not a coincidence that America allows guns and most of these other countries don't, and it's an important aspect of the reality of this world at this time. But maybe it would just have resulted in more violence in Sri Lanka, given the conditions, because maybe no one there could have solved the problems prior to it getting to that point. I mean, it's interesting, man. It's very mystical, and I think there's going to be a lot of, we have billions of people on this planet, and I think a lot of what people are going to be doing in the future is going back and looking through this time and putting these dots together and just recognizing coincidences like, wow, amazing that this happened at this time and this happened, and like how the story played out and how it was so much of a story, as though it had an author rather than just this random, unpredictable chaos that I think a lot of people have felt the world has been. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where she stands on gun control. I mean, maybe she told me. I don't remember if we had that conversation. For me, I believe that nuclear material, I believe in the existence of a body that basically oversees that material to make sure it's not being harvested into nuclear weapons. I want to see a nuclear disarmament, multilateral around the world, and I feel like the U.S. can lead that conversation as the largest holder of nuclear weapons. So I would like to see nuclear disarmament, but beyond that, I support free markets. Now, if people want to have local communities where they own all the land and they say, on this land, we're not going to have any weapons, we're going to have a gun-free zone, whatever, people can be free to do that. And I also believe in the existence of this security force that's going to, if they do come under assailment, there would be someone to call to come help them in that event. It might not be as efficient as being armed themselves, but I do believe in providing that option for people through a charitably funded security force that I discuss in great detail in my book. So, wow, I mean, I guess I don't have anything to disagree with her about today. I mean, the funny thing about some of these topics, like the abortion topic, like if she understood my solution, but didn't just understand my solution, actually understood the implications of my solution and really thought about it on a grand scale, and like, a lot of people don't understand power, man. power in this world is a function of purchasing power. Money is power. And like it or not, whoever can purchase, has purchasing power, pretty much can buy whatever they want, dude. And everything has a fucking price. So the people who have the purchasing power are the ones who are going to make the decisions. And there's going to be a big shift in who has purchasing power away from those who have assets that have had their price inflated through a credit bubble but lack real intrinsic value, and those who hold assets that do have real intrinsic value. So there's going to be a big shift, and I feel like it would behoove you to consider what that might look like when thinking about the implications of some of the ideas that I put forward. Some things will change over time, man. I mean, certain markets are gonna crash, man. So this is tough for me to say, man. Timing is difficult for me to predict. I don't know how fast things are going to move once we have freedom and once we resolve our other problems. Things could move real fucking fast, man. And we could get to that end game real fast. You know, I tend to say that there is a lot of work that's going to be required. There's some work that's going to be required. I don't know how much work that is, how long it's going to take us to do it. But if we're efficient, it shouldn't take us that fucking long, dude, because we're capable of doing everything we got to do. We just need government out of the fucking way. So next week, I am planning to leave town for a couple days. Looks like I'm going to have to miss. I was invited to perform with the improv troupe, but it looks like I'm going to have to miss that this time. Hopefully I'll be invited again sometime. I guess that's about it, dude. You guys have a good evening.